In chief making a push to move the military away from direct engagements to training force in partnership with our allies to counter terror threats around the world. The president also insisting that despite his critics' claims, America is stronger and safer than ever.
America has rarely been stronger relative to the rest of the world. Those who argue otherwise, who suggest that America is in decline or has seen its global leadership slip away, are either misreading history or engaged in partisan politics. Think about it. Our military has no peer. The odds of a direct threat against us by any nation are low and do not come close to the dangers we faced during the Cold War.
Arizona Senator John McCain serves on the Foreign Relations and Armed Services Committee, decorated war veteran, and as I'm sure our viewers are familiar with, Senator, great to have you. As I'd love your reaction to the president's speech today, and especially what he just said there in that soundbite. America has rarely been stronger relative to the rest of the world, and he attributes that basically to our military. Is that accurate? Are we safer now than we ever have been?
I think to compare it with the Cold War and the performance of Ronald Reagan is really remarkable. Only President Obama could make that parallel with a straight face. Look, the world is obviously safer since the end of the Cold War because there's no longer the threat of nuclear exchange. But I would argue that it is more dangerous and more unstable in the last 5 years of this presidency than it has ever been. And when you look, the best example I can give you is the mistake we made by not leaving a force behind in Iraq, which is the same thing that we're about to do in Afghanistan. The black flags of al-Qaeda fly over the city of Fallujah with the bloodiest battle of the whole Iraq war, where we lost 96 soldiers and Marines and 600 wounded. And there it is now a base. This whole Syria-Iraq area is a base for al-Qaeda. And our director of national intelligence said they'll be planning attacks on the United States of America. That is a direct result of a failed policy. No, we are not weak. We are unreliable. When the President of the United States made the statement that if they crossed a red line, if Bashar Assad crossed a red line, and he established that red line, he made that choice, then we would choose to attack Bashar Assad for it, and then he didn't. That reverberated all around the globe.
Okay, so we skipped over a couple different important areas of the world.
Sure.
And the president said something today that could potentially be an answer to why he believes we do not need to leave the military in Afghanistan, which was an announcement, of course, we've heard over the last 24 hours that is the planned intention. He says the U.S. military action cannot be the only or even primary component of our leadership in every instance. Just because we have the best hammer does not mean that every problem is a nail. What do you say to that, Senator?
All I can say is that he sets up this false, dishonest intellectual argument that those who disagree with him want to go all out and send the military. What we want is for them to finish the job in Afghanistan, not send the signal to the Taliban that we are leaving no matter what. And we have had great success, and we can continue that success with a drawdown that is commensurate with the conditions on the ground. If we leave, as he said, I'm telling you, you will see a repeat, very likely, of the Iraq scenario. The Afghanistan army is fighting well. They have no air assets. Their intelligence assets are very poor. This is a situation where the president is saying we are leaving no matter what the outcome. Look, we left troops behind in Germany and Japan after that war, in Korea after the Korean War. There's nothing wrong with having a residual force behind. And our failure in Iraq to do that, and that was a plan by this administration, we have shown what that happens. And this, by the way, this idea of we've wiped out core al-Qaeda, we haven't wiped out core al-Qaeda. They've just replaced themselves, and they've spread all over the Middle East.
Well, and one of the areas that they are spreading, and we have seen the presence, is in Syria. But you've been on the same page with the president as far as saying, listen, we don't want boots on the ground in Syria. We did get some news from the president during his West Point speech today saying that he wants to dedicate more resources to helping the opposition on the ground. And I was curious to find out, Senator, that it was almost a year ago exactly that you were in Syria And you're one of, if not the highest ranking lawmaker to actually go into that country during the conflict. I'm just curious what you think about the president's announcement today. We have a picture, by the way, of you meeting with some of the opposition on our screen there in Syria. Is it too late? Is it too late for us to get involved now? What do you think about the more resources going to help the opposition?
First of all, could I say it's a shameful chapter in American history that we didn't help these people 3 years ago because of our inaction, our failure to help them. 160,000 dead, millions displaced. The region is in turmoil. It's turned into a regional conflict. Iran is all in with 5,000 Hezbollah and arms and training and equipment, while we have sat by and watched this horrible, horrific genocide taking place, and we haven't done anything of any note whatsoever. It's not enough now to train and equip the resistance. We're going to have to do more than that. 3 years ago, we could have done it. Right
what does
now,
more look like?
We're going to have to provide them with anti-air weapons to take out these helicopters that are dropping these horrible barrel bombs that kill innocent women and children. We're going to have a humanitarian area, and we're going to have a far more robust training and equipping of their military. And that is what we're going to have to do because the situation is dire. We have seen now foreign fighters flow in from all over the world, including the United States of America. And this is a horrific problem, and one that this president's let go for the last 3 years. It's a disgraceful chapter in American history.
What is it within your power that you can do? Is it more legislation potentially that you could put through Congress to supply the rebels with what you say is needed to change the course there? Or do you think that's not a path that you're interested in going down anymore?
Well, in the defense bill that we just passed through the Senate, we provided provision for training and equipping of the rebels. But I said we've got to do a lot more than that. And again, this president told Lindsey Graham and I in the Oval Office that he was going to change the momentum on the battlefield, and a few days later decided not to attack Syria, which he said he was going to do if they crossed a red line. America is not weak. America is unreliable. And that's why no one trusts us, whether it be in the Middle East or whether it be as far away as Japan, where all these countries are looking at the options without American leadership.
Well, speaking of unreliable, let's just finish up here and talk a little bit about the VA. A few things are happening today. Chuck Hagel, the Secretary of Defense, is having a high-level meeting. He's doing a 90-day review of health care within the VA system. We also have a hearing tonight about the allegations of these secret waiting lists. I know this is obviously an issue close to your heart, Senator, close to mine as well. How confident are you that these reviews will actually elicit different results for veterans in the future?
Well, I hope they will have some benefit, but I'm not totally confident. I'm more confident in the House Veteran Affairs Committee, and I also think that it's time for the Justice Department to be engaged in this investigation, because if you falsified records, that is criminal activities. And we Republicans, next Tuesday, we will have a proposal that does a whole lot of things, including calls for giving the veteran the ability to have the flexibility to go get the health care that veteran thinks that he can get, and best and the highest quality, and not required sometimes to travel hours and hours to the nearest VA facility. And that veteran should have a card that allows that veteran to get the health care of his or her choice.
Do you think you'll have Democratic support on that? Will Harry Reid join forces with you to get that legislation going?
I've never seen an issue this strike such an emotional chord in my home state of Arizona as this one has. If people resist these changes that we are proposing, I believe they will be overwhelmed.
Senator McCain, we look forward to checking back in with you as that news develops throughout the next few days and, of course, the next few weeks. Great to see you as always. Thank you for the time today.